let's head on over to Review Game Rob. What up, Review Game Rob? Back to be at it at the desk. Can we get some motherfucking hype in the chat? Hey. Woo! The grand finals game is about to head off. Surrender, just kidding. Tom versus Frozen in a one-on-one Hearthstone match. The best of 3, ban 1, Ultimate Gamer, never seen before. Final match of the day. Again, let's get some hype. Hey! Game number 1 kicks off. We have the Control Mage from Frozen going against the Jade Druid from Tom. Good hand from both sides of the board. Jade Idol being played, turn 1 for Tom, no big deal. Wild Growth to follow up into the Nourish. Feels good, looks good, is good. Frozen has the coin into the Raven Familiar, decided to hold back on that. Definitely want to save coin for maybe coining the Frostlich Jaina. Geist is one of the most important cards in this matchup that Frozen could obtain prior to when Tom starts to cycle his own idols. Ice Barrier being picked up by Frozen, not what he wanted to see. Could have, and at any point Tom could have ripped like a UI from the Raven, and then he doesn't win anyway. But Frozen was definitely expecting. Frozen definitely has the higher percentage on getting Raven to work. Tom with the branching paths into, of course, draw more cards, which will lead into the Nourish ramp, which will then lead into the Aya. So while Frozen is playing with 3 mana, Tom's going to be playing with 7 mana. There again, Frozen was able to pick up a win with his Raven to be able to pull, the Dragon's Fury. Tom now has the ability to ramp 2 and summon a 4/4. He's also can hero power and trade into one of the Ravens. Or he can decide to hold the Arcane for maybe a later date. I would really like to see the Nourish for mana here into the Arcane Tyrant, into the hero power trade into a Raven. That's what I see is happening for Tom. Keep in mind, guys, for everybody in the chat right now, both these players, grand final, playing for $250,000. You got $250,000 that's on the line right here. Runner-up gets 150. So still second place, shaking and baking at 150K. But $250,000 we're sitting on. These are high stakes. It looks like Tom decided to go for the card draw instead of the ramp. I bet he's regretting that now that he picked up that Ultimate Infestation. But it makes sense you would want to make sure he has the UI prior to ramping, because if you ramp and then you don't draw UI, you will basically get burned out from the mage. So Frozen just dealing with the Aya, playing the secret. Nothing too crazy there. I would like to see the Tom ramp Jades as fast as possible, so we'll see the Jade Behemoth come out, and probably just the face. He could also trade into the 2/3 to play around the Dragon's Fury that he knows in Frozen's hand, or he can push a little bit more damage. The trade signifies that he was thinking about Frozen trading his 2/3 into the Jade Behemoth, and then dropping the Dragon's Fury. There's the Dragon's Fury. We'll see what it rips. The Polymorph. It looks like the Behemoth is going to live at 2 HP. Again, if Tom did not make the trade the turn before, his Behemoth would be dead. Definitely would like to see the Wild Growth come out from Tom here, because it allows him to UI next turn, unless he feels like he doesn't need to UI next turn. But I would like to see maybe... Well, we could actually see like a Fandral and then the Ironwood, or we could just see the Wild Growth into Fandral into like hero power. But then if he UIs, he's going to overdraw. So we might just see him play, he's going to play as many cards as possible to try to get him out of his hand. So then when he Ultimate Infestation, he doesn't overdraw, which is exactly why he Lesser's Jasper Spellstone his own minion. And also keep in mind that Frozen's deck doesn't actually have that many minions. So him using single target removal isn't that important. Firelands pickup from Frozen gets a pretty high roll there. 6/5 coming from the Firelands portal. There's the UI. Frozen had to have seen this coming, granted that Tom hit his own minion with the Spellstone, right? Which means that he wants to open up his hand for UI. Wow, what a draw from Tom, because he was able to play the Tyrant. And because he played the Tyrant, that means he doesn't overdraw. But keep in mind, let's say if Tom overdrawed like a Jade Idol, then it doesn't really matter if Frozen picks up a Geist, because he had already played one Jade Idol turn one, and if he mills the second one, his Jades are no longer infinite. There's the coin Frostlich, which we've talked about prior to Frozen holding on to the coin earlier on in the game. There's a Jade Behemoth. So Tom would have actually milled a Jade Behemoth if he didn't pick up that Arcane Tyrant. Which is a big deal. Jade Behemoth is an additional Jade. There's one thing in the Jade deck that you just don't want to mill, and that's your Jade cards. It makes it so you ramp a lot slower. So now Tom has to keep in mind that Frozen's going to be able to use his hero power to generate water elementals. And as they may not be that like huge in stats, in comparison to the Jades at the moment, they're still going to be able to freeze his face, which is going to make Malfurion a little bit worse, you know? So we'll have to see what he does here. He goes with the swipe onto the water Ellie. He trades his water elemental in there for the clean trades to make sure he couldn't ping it next turn to be able to generate a water Ellie. And then he hits his face for 9. Tom is looking like he's in the driver's seat. Going ahead and meteor the Jade, pinging off the Tyrant, generating a water Ellie. There's the Malfurion. I have no idea why Frozen is not able to draw his Geist. There's been multiple games where Frozen's played against Jade Druid and been unable to draw into the Geist. Maybe, I'm pretty sure he runs Geist. So Tom has the ability to draw here, or he could just maybe, This is fairly difficult. Maybe he trades like Jade Behemoth, Jasper Spellstones, and Malfurions. I know he always Malfurions for armor, basically, because this game is 100% going to fatigue. He hits it with the deal 6. So the Jasper, I didn't realize the Jasper was already that powered up. He doesn't need to trade the Behemoth at all. He can just go face. Oh, he's going for the attack. Okay, so Tom is just going for the pure aggression play here. See you later, Reiko. So we're looking at lethal this next turn. Frozen throws down the Blizzard to freeze his opponent. The Icy Touch to make another Water Ellie. So Frozen has actually been able to make a Water Ellie 2 or 3 times now. Again, super annoying for Tom. And what's good about this is Frozen can actually trade his Water Ellie into the 5/3 and then ping his own Water Ellie to make a new Water Ellie and heal for 3. So Frozen is actually in a pretty good seat here. He just needs to draw his Geist before these Jade Idols get out of hand, which is happening because this is the second Jade Idol being played, and Fandrel's out, which means he shuffled 3 and was able to make 1. So this Geist needs to be drawn very, very quickly. Very quickly. Hard play from Frozen here. Definitely going to be looking out to make another Water Ellie, but also keeping the board down to a minimum. Yeah, I can't see how this matchup is good for the Control Mage, given the fact that Malfurion is a card now. Gaining 3 armor a turn is huge, plus the fact that they can go infinite if Geist is not drawn. It's interesting that Frozen queued up with this matchup first. I would have rather seen Frozen like specifically target a deck from Tom with this. So like, let's say Frozen brings his strongest deck first, gets a win, beats out Tom's deck, and then you can kind of know what Tom's going to queue up next. But maybe it's best to get this deck out of the way, because then Tom could corner Frozen, because this would be the only deck left for Frozen, and then Tom could queue up all his good matches. So maybe it was best to try to get it out of the way. But then maybe that's what Tom was thinking, that he would queue up his worst matchup first, and then that would be this matchup. So there's a lot of thinking in which decks are going to be queued, because it really does all come down to which decks go against which decks. So Branching Path hits the floor. It looks like Tom just wants to draw into those idols as fast as possible before Geist gets drawn. There's one Jade Idol. There is another Jade Idol. Holy smokes. This Fandral is going fucking wackadoo right now. It's making Jades like crazy, putting Jade Idols in the deck. Now he's going to be able to Wrath, and he's going to be able to even draw an additional card, which could be another Jade Idol, which is going to send this board spiraling down into even more of a nuisance than it already is. There's another Jade Idol. Oh. Yeah. I do not see how Frozen's going to rip a win out of this one. I mean, look at these Jades. Already 9/9s, and Frozen still hasn't even played the Geist. There's the Geist. Bottom 12 cards of Frozen's deck. He could Geist now, which he has to. There's no way you just don't Geist. And then from here, you know your block is getting popped because you don't have any freezes to play, which means you have to play the Ice block. And once you play the Ice block, you know your opponent's going to be able to Fandral every turn. Or not Fandral. They're going to be able to attack with the hero power from Malfurion every turn for 3. So this is just a really tight place to be. It's interesting, though. Tom drew so much this game that Tom only has 1 card in his deck left, while Frozen has 11. This game actually got turned around with that Geist draw. If that Geist would have came any later, it would have been sealed. But in this situation, the block hasn't been popped. Tom's hitting Fatigue next turn. Do we see a small comeback here? Can we see? I mean, he has no more Jade. He might actually have 1 Jade mechanic left. Am I right? His last card. Because it's not Spreading Plague. It's not a summons. It could be another swipe, but I'm pretty sure he used a swipe earlier. So there's the Dragon's Fury. Oh, what a low roll. The Arcane Intellect from the Dragon's Fury. Not really cleaning up too much, but he's going to be able to at least create 1 Water Ellie out of the deal. Valet cleaning up the 9/3. Cleaning up the 7/7. He's still popping the block. Yep, there was that 1 Jade left. There's the Jade Blossom. He has a Meteor in hand, which is kind of nice. So he's going to be able to Meteor the 11/11, and he should be able to block. If he rips out an Alexstrasza, he actually could pull a win here. This is a very, very close game. If Frozen can live like 2 turns, Tom will run out of stuff. But right now, Tom still has the ability to pop the block and summon an 11/11, while also having the ability to play Spreading Plague, Swipe, and UI. And UI is currently not going to kill him at his health total, even if he mills for 5. He's still going to get the 5/5. He's still going to do 5. He's still going to gain 5 armor. He is going to fatigue very quickly, though, after he UIs. So Tom's trying to line up the best possible way to play around more Water Ellies being built while popping block, while conserving the Jade in his hand, because he knows that Frozen still has a Meteor. So he pops Frozen at 1. It's going to Jabate out the Meteor right here. So Frozen's going to go ahead and Meteor this, unless... Oh, he just went ahead and Jade Blossomed. Okay. All right, wow. So how does this pan out right here? I would say if Frozen would have had a freeze in his hand, I would like to see the freeze. Because then he could freeze and taunt. And then he wouldn't be able to, Tom wouldn't be able to get through it, which gives Frozen a little bit more time to pick up some AoE. But now, I mean... Will we see like a Firelands portal onto the 10/7, the 2/2, and then an ice block, and then you can Meteor down the 11/11 the following turn while dirty ratting? I like that. I like the Firelands portal play into the ice block. If he Meteors now, he can't actually kill 2 minions and block. He can only kill 1. So there's the block, the face, okay. Oh yes, the UI, you're right. There's the spreading plague. The trade into the 2/2. I wonder if what Frozen is hoping for. Oh, he top decks the arcane. He gets 7 armor and clears the board. What a top deck from Frozen. Unbelievable. And he generates a water Ellie. Oh, wow. Wow, what a top deck. Granted, there's 2 of them in the deck and there's only 9 cards, so the likelihood of him having that is huge by now. But holy crap. You can see him celebrating over that like crazy. I mean, wow, that worked out perfectly. And now Tom knows that it's over. Tom knows if he's spreading plagues, there's still Firelands Portal. There's still the heal from the Water Ellie. The Arcane is going to be able to generate more armor, which means he has to hero power down the Arcane. If he hero powers down the Arcane, he's still getting healed with the Water Ellie. Frozen picking up an insane win on game number 1. Holy shit. What a game. What a game. Winning what I would like to think is a not favorable matchup, especially when Geist is bottom 12. Heading into game number 2, Frozen's Dragon Highlander Priest versus Tom's Tempo Rogue. Raza in the hand of Frozen. Northshire Cleric and Netherspite, so Frozen would like to see a dragon for this hand. Tom most likely going to be putting back every card in his hand. Maybe he'll keep SI because he has coin. So SI is definitely a thinker, but I'm not sure. Maybe Tom will mulligan back, maybe look for some pirates and or a prince. What's up, Seb? That win from Frozen. Oh my gosh, that game 1. Whoo. Tom has got to be salty. So, looks like Tom decided to mulligan everything, look for some pirates, look for the prince, found the swash, found Shadow Step. He wishes he had prince in his hand, but he does not. This is a really awkward place to be if you're Tom, because Northshire Cleric is one of those cards that you just really don't want to see, because you're not able to play your pirates, because the Northshire Cleric will just trade into them, heal the cleric, and then he'll just draw from that, right? So it's best that Tom just holds back the coin, holds back the swash, hope he doesn't draw patches, and try to basically get like a South Sea captain. So he's gonna hero power on turn 2. Hopefully he draws into maybe a captain. The captain can pull patches as a 2/2, daggers 1, and that'll be able to clean up that Northshire Cleric pretty easily. Tom, not sure if he should attack face or hold back. I like him holding back. There's no point to attack face at the moment. Kazakus being picked up for Frozen, not a bad card at all. No dragon in the hand of Frozen, though, which really sucks. So the Netherspite Historian doesn't really have much value. He's actually going to Holy Smite his own Northshire Cleric to heal it, to replace the card in his hand with something maybe more powerful like a dragon. I like this heads-up play from Frozen. Most people would not Holy Smite their own Cleric just to get that extra draw in there. Again, Tom's hand exceedingly, I don't want to say clunky, but it just doesn't do much against this Cleric due to the fact that he can't kill it. He doesn't have a backstab. He didn't draw captain. He doesn't have cold blood in his hand. It's just a really awkward place to be if you're Tom. And he knows now that he has to play the patches or play the pirates to get the ball rolling on the board, or he's just going to wait too long and he's just going to get swarmed in by Frozen, because you can only wait so long to put down the pressure regardless if your opponent's going to draw from it, you know? So at least now Tom's going to be able to coin into the Scalebane, which is going to allow these 1/1s to do a little bit more than just being 1/1s. They turn into 4/1s, which is quite annoying. You also could coin Slayer if that Northshire Cleric gets a little too out of control. I'm interested to see if oh my god, Frozen's going for the full board clear right here. So I'm definitely seeing Tom going with the coin Vile Spine onto the Cleric. This Cleric has gotten, it's obtained so much value. I don't see how you can just let this Northshire Cleric live still. As much as you don't like Vile Spining a 1/5, I mean, if you just let this thing live, it's just going to get out of hand, especially with the wild Pyromancer pickup, because that, along with Circle of Healing, and if he happens to draw like a Alkalite of Pain, oh, buddy. Tom's going to be in a whole lot of hurt. So there's the coin Vile Spine to get rid of the Cleric. Feels bad, but a necessary evil. There's the Raza coming down from Frozen. He's had that in his hand since turn 1. Definitely something you like to see if you're a Frozen fan. If you're Tom, you don't like to see that too much. Tom so has a couple options here. He has double Shadow Step in his hand, which means he could attack face, return the Slayer back into his hand, and then Slayer down the 5/5, which is exactly what he's doing. You also can go ahead, depending on how much mana you have left, which is only 2, to be able to attack face with your dagger and re-dagger. Not the strongest possible turn 5, but still he deals with the 5/5, and he still keeps his 3/4 on board. There's Kazakis, another very powerful minion in Frozen's deck that there's a one-of, just like every other card, but one of the better one-of cards. The fact that these potions are so very powerful allows huge board swing potential. Frozen getting some pretty good picks out of the potion. I would like to see him pick draw a card here. This in combination with Auctioneer is going to be exceedingly powerful, especially with the Circle of Healing in his hand. There's the Wild Pyromancer. So right now, Frozen's going for the Wild Pyro Auctioneer Circle of Healing play. I highly doubt Tom is going to let this Wild Pyromancer live, but it's a good heads-up, preemptive kind of setup on Frozen's part to play out that Wild Pyromancer a turn early to allow him to potentially go off with Auctioneer Circle of Healing. Very future thinking of Frozen. So Tom's got a couple options here. Again, he still has that Shadow Step. He can make the trade into the... he preemptively trades into Kazakis and then trades into the Wild Pyromancer and then daggers up. Again, not that powerful of a play from Tom. Tom's just kind of playing these little minions. His hand is filled with big shit. He's got Bone Mare, Scalebane, Obsidian Statue, Corridor Creeper that still costs 4, Auctioneer hitting the floor for Frozen, going for the 1 mana summon a friendly minion, deal 3 damage, a pretty good potion. Rezzing the Northshire Cleric. Oh my god. Gonna draw 3 cards from the Circle of Healing Auctioneer combo. Holy crap, that res was huge. It could have rezzed the Raza or it could have rezzed the Northshire Cleric, but the Cleric was so much better. Even though the 5/5 is more damage, the draw is more important. Holy crap, the power of Highlander Priest in regards to clearing the board and drawing cards is unparalleled. Tom, again, tight place to be in. I mean, he still has that shadow, the Shadow Step in his hand, so he's going to be able to pretty easily kill this Auctioneer. He also could Holy Fire it, or he could also do a combination of maybe like a trade, Corridor Creep, Elvira Spine Slayer. He's got quite a few options here. Goes with the Shadow Step, going to go off and clear the Auctioneer up, and then from here, I'm assuming he's going to develop the, it holds back on the Corridor, just goes in with the Serenite. And then he might actually preemptively trade again on the Kazakis. Actually, there's no point to preemptively trade because he's just going to heal for free anyway. If the heal wasn't for free, you would have sawn the dagger into the 3/3. Woo! Dragonoid Operative. Most likely. He also could go with Bookworm, which clears up the Vile Spine Slayer. He goes with the Bookworm to clear up the Vile Spine Slayer. Very nice. He says that I don't need any more. So the pick that he just selected there, he picked the Bookworm over the Draconoid Operative, which is most people's first pick when they see Operative. He says, I don't need any value. I don't win this game through value. I win this game through my burst. And right now I don't have my burst. I have to draw into my burst. So until that point, let's just try to nullify his board. What's annoying? Vile Spine Slayer is annoying. Let's get that off the board. That's Frozen's mindset. Dropping the Alkali to Pain, will we see the Spirit Lash come out? I would like to see this Alkali to Pain at least draw 2 cards if he's going to decide to play it. Virus threat and protection. Windows Defender summary. Hello, I am Windows Defender. I will protect your computer against the light. Thank you, Windows Defender. Now fuck off. We're casting in an epic Hearthstone game, Defender. Curious Glimmer. Let's see what he gets first, and then he'll decide on the rest of his turn. Obviously, SI Agent gets picked up. This is going to allow him to not really do too much. He can still trade into the 6/4, no problem. He goes with the Twilight Drake after drawing, which makes perfect sense. Great ordering on Frozen's behalf. Frozen does know that there is still another Vile Spine Slayer in the deck, even though 3 of them have been played due to the fact that Tom has used double Shadow Step on them. But it still is fine because Frozen's deck isn't all about the board. It also has the combo potential. So here comes, I think, a Giant Edwin. No? I like it. Because if he went Giant Edwin here, he hasn't seen Shadow Word Death yet. And Tom would rather see a Shadow Word Death be used on the Bone Mare. But Dragonfire Potion is going to clean up this board completely. I mean, Dragonfire Potion is disgusting here. It's going to kill all 4 minions. On top of that, he's going to be able to develop at least an Alkali to Pain. And that's just crazy. He also could SI as well. Decides to SI instead of the Alkali to Pain. I like this play a little bit more than the just throwing out the Alkali, given the fact that next turn, Frozen can play Alkali and then use Spirit Lash, which allows him to at least draw 2 cards from the Alkali to Pain, which is what he wants. If he plays the Alkali to Pain right away here, it has the chance of getting picked off while only drawing 1 card. Plus the SI Agent is a little bit more pressure. I like this play from Frozen. So he's going to go ahead and make the 7/7 South Sea Captain. Anduin off the top. Tom shifts in his chair knowing that Anduin is bound to happen eventually. But this really does suck. The instant concede from Tom. Oh my gosh. Frozen is up 2-0 against Tom. That's some tilt. I mean, even the top deck of Anduin there, I mean, that's that instant concede for, oh man. I mean, if you're Tom, you feel really bad, man, but that instant concede shows that how annoyed Tom is right now. All right, so heading on to game number 3, Frozen up 2-0. Frozen just needs 1 win with J Druid. J Druid against the Highlander Priest. Very, not super very, but pretty favorable in my opinion on the Druid's behalf. So much armor in the deck. It all depends on if the Highlander runs the Geist or not. And I don't think Tom's Highlander actually runs Geist. Narshire Cleric hitting the floor on turn 1. Frozen's hand looking a bit thick, does have the Nourish in there. Malfurion in the opening hand for Frozen. This is exactly what Frozen wants to see. Galaka Crawler on turn 2 just to put some in that chip damage in. So basically, Frozen wants to go ahead, nullify Tom's board. Let's not take any chip damage, gain tons of armor, live through burst. Tom wants to put in chip damage, get combo as fast as possible, finish off. If Tom fails to put in chip damage and draws combo later, Druid at that point will have too much armor. Whoo! Frozen with the Jade Blossom. He's going to be able to play the Nourish right after that. Tom with the trade into the Jade Blossom. probably going to heal the cleric. I don't see why he would not heal the cleric here. There we go. Power Ward Shield on cleric to make sure she doesn't get wrapped. Curious Glimmerroot for a nice turn 5 heal play. Frozen with the coin Aya here. Okay, very aggressive play by Frozen. Frozen says, I want to get rid of this Aya. Frozen basically by this play says, I want to get rid of that cleric. Tom actually has a Shadow Ward Death in hand along with the Silence and Anduin. Wow, so there's the heal on Galaka Crawler. And then do we see... Oh, there's the Silence on Aya and the Shadow Word Death, the trade, and then the Circle of Healing. I wonder if he actually is going to use the Circle of Healing to draw 1 card here. Oh, but there's no minion made. Okay, that's right. It's Silence. Derp. Sorry. This Northshire Cleric is doing super work right now. Will we see the Curious Glimmerroot or will we see the trade Circle of Healing? I don't know what's the right amount of cards to draw with Circle of Healing. I know with cards like Wild Pyromancer, you know, Alkalite and stuff like that, Circle of Healing can draw you upwards of, 2 to 3 cards. But it looks like Tom is okay with just drawing the 2 here. I mean, this cycle with the Cleric is crazy right now. He's going to easily be able to pick up that Jade Behemoth. Tom is playing very, very quick right now. Tom is playing very fast. I'm having a hard time keeping up with his movements. There's the Malfurion drop from Frozen. Or do we see maybe a ramp instead? I would honestly like to see the Malfurion here. And then maybe spiders. Because at this point in time, that cleric needs to die. The cleric has just obtained so much value that your best way is just to hope he doesn't have Potion of Madness, right? So I would like to see him to go spiders here and then trade into the 2-3. It looks like he went with... Okay, good. He went with the spiders. Tom still does not have that Potion of Madness in his hand, which he hedged that hopefully Tom wouldn't. Tom now knows he's in a spicy situation where his Northshire Cleric really has only 1 turn to live unless he's able to wipe the board clean of both of these spiders or gets the Potion of Madness from the Shadow Visions. Exactly what Frozen did not want to see there. Oh, this hurts. This hurts bad. Ooh, this chip damage is so much. Frozen's been unable to generate really any armor. Currently only at 24. Normally 24 you'd say is a pretty safe health total to be at, considering your opponent only has 4 damage on board. But against the Highlander priest that already has Shadow Reaper in his hand, waiting on Raza and only needs Velen for maximum damage combo is not a place that Frozen wants to be. Also though, keep in mind Frozen does have double branching paths in his hand, which is technically 24 armor. And he has Nourish to replenish the cards that he's drawn. Jade Behemoth coming to the hand of Tom from the Curious Glimmerroot. I wonder what Tom is thinking about here. It's always going to be Jade Behemoth. Choosing to heal the Priest of the Feast and go face. So it looks like Frozen's going to go for the cycle heavy play here. I would like Frozen to go with the Jade Idol into the Nourish, which is exactly what he does. This allows him to put 3 Jade Idols in the deck, summon a Jade, and then hopefully redraw back into those Jade Idols to play them immediately. Does not draw into any Jade Idols. Going to hero power for armor and the attack. Hold back on it. It's going to buff up that Spellstone just in case Tom ends up playing cards like Lyra or Velen. You know, that Jester or the Spellstone will be able to deal with those pretty nicely given the fact that it does 6 damage to a single target. Tom's sitting on a pretty value-oriented hand right now. He could drop the Shadow Reaper to kill off that 5/5. He could go with a little bit more draw with maybe the Alkalite. He could choose to go with maybe the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, the Holy Smite, or he could just go ahead and say, hey, I don't really like this board at all, Scream. I would prefer him to hold back the Scream, though, because the Jades really aren't out of control yet. So maybe we'll see. I like, apparently face is the place for Tom. I would have liked to see maybe the, oh, he's going to go with the Scream. Wow. Okay. Interesting play. Shit. I was supposed to not say interesting anymore. Strange play. Sorry, Deku. Jade Behemoth into Jade Behemoth. One player summons 6/6, the other player 1/1. There's the Acolyte of Pain coming down to hopefully cycle at least 2 cards. We know that the Spellstone is going to be able to take out that Behemoth, no problem. So I would like to see a Spellstone into Behemoth, his Behemoth into Acolyte of Pain, and the 6/6 go face, and then him go for armor here. It'll be harder for him to draw Jades, I suppose, but at the same time, like, the Jades are still going to get to a point where I guess you have the Shadow Reaper Anduin, right? So I suppose Screaming there was pretty good, because there was no clear-cut play. Nothing looked fantastic. Whoa, why is he spreading Plague? Come on, man. We got this. Spellstone 3/6. Your Jade Behemoth kills his pain. Hero power for mana. Swing your 6 face. Spreading Plague hero power? Alright. I would really have liked to see a little bit more pressure from Frozen there. Because right now, this matchup is not in your favor, which means you have to take risky plays. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in this situation, Frozen knows he's behind. You know, Tom has drawn so many cards. He hasn't seen a Dragonfire. He hasn't seen Anduin. He hasn't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, at this point in time, if your opponent has Shadow Reaper and Raza, you're just dead. Which means you have to start pushing the face. Which means you're going to have to use these Spellstones to kill minions that aren't, you know, Raza or Lyra or Gadgetzin, because you're going to have to make up for that through damage because you're so behind. So I would have liked to seen Frozen be a little bit more aggressive in this spot, given the fact that he's so far behind. Once you're ahead enough, you really don't need to be that aggressive, because you can just sit back and kind of just make sure you don't make mistakes while pushing your opponent to make mistakes for themselves. But I guess because he has double branching paths, he feels like he is a little safe, which means he can go for the safer plays. So maybe these double branching paths are why he feels so safe at the moment. But let me tell you, when your opponent has Raza, Anduin, Mind Blast, Lyra, and Gadgetzin Auctioneer with the Kazakus in their hand, I mean, this is just going to be too much. Doesn't really matter how much Frozen's going to gain. Even 12 armor in a single turn is only really mitigating 1 Mind Blast. Well, we all know he's armoring every turn. We know this Raza is probably going to die to a Spellstone. And we know he's going to gain 12 armor through a Branching Paths. So right there, that's already taking up, I believe, 7 mana. So there's the 6 armor. Here's the 6 armor. Here's, I think, even more 6 armor. He's going to go to 32 plus 12. Tom sitting back in his seat. He already has Raza Anduin online with a 10 mana Kazakus Potion, Lyra, and Mind Blast in hand. Yep. So Frozen's going to go for the 24 armor gain, the Jasper Spellstone on the 5/5. He might even see the Innervate Hero Power for armor as well. He is now at a life total of 47 health. This may look like a lot of health, guys, but not to a Raza Priest. This is not enough. The Hero Power hits face. There's the 10 mana Kazakus Potion. This thing is super thick. Deal 6 damage to all and summon an 8/8. Knowing that Frozen can't deal with giant minions, this was a perfect pick for Tom with the Kazakus Potion. Jade has a very difficult time dealing with 8/8s, especially now that the taunts have been removed. This 8/8's almost going to be impossible to kill without the Jasper Spellstone swipe, which means whenever Tom does end up playing the Lyra and or Velen, it's going to definitely need to be dealt with by creatures. And if Frozen doesn't have any creatures on the board, Tom's going to be sitting pretty. Frozen's now out of cards. Frozen no longer has any minions in hand. UI needs to be a top deck for Frozen right now. There's the Dragonfire Potion for the full clear. The Hero Power is going to hit face again. We might even see the Wild Pyromancer for a little bit more pressure. We do. The extra ping hits face. It'll be interesting to see or not if he plays the Radiant. I don't think so. I think he's going to hold back on the Radiant Elemental. Violet Teacher top deck. Hero Power to kill. The reason he's using the Hero Power to kill this is because it still represents 3 damage. If he gains 3 armor, it still doesn't matter because it's 3 versus 3. It's best to just remove the minion. The Lyra is going to hit the board now, and Lyra in combination with cards like Holy Smite and Spirit Lash is going to mean Lyra is going to chain at least 2 to 3 spells while dealing huge amounts of damage with the Hero Power. And we still haven't even seen the Velen in the Mind Blast. Yeah. This game is all but wrapped up. Too much pressure from the Priest. There's the Holy Smite. The Holy Fire comes in hand. The Devoured Mind. Oh my god. Spirit Lash. I mean, look at this chain of spells coming from Tom's hand right now. There's the Curious Glimmerroot. He's going to hope to get some cycle. What does he land on? He lands on the Kansami Da. Tom wraps up and pulls back Frozen's lead from 2-0 to 2-1. Tom sitting pretty. Keeping it cool. Realize that his 2-0 0-2 start is now a 1-2. He needs 2 games to win $250,000. Frozen, 1 win. 1 game away from being called BlizzCon champion. Or world champion. Not BlizzCon. Let's look at game number 4. Actually, we head into game number 4 almost immediately. Okay. Both players need to keep their heads cool. Thinking caps on. Plays straight. Frozen with the opening hand. Jade Blossom looks pretty good. Jade Idol, not so much. Swipe put back. Keeps actually the Jade Idol to ramp Jades. Looks like Tom's playing his Tempo Rogue. Opens with the Backstab, Swash, Deckhand, Coin, Van Cleef. I mean, Tom can make a giant Edwin if he wants. The Innervate pull. Oh my gosh. What a pull from Tom. He's going to be able to coin, Innervate, Backstab Edwin. That's going to be an 8-8 Edwin on turn 2. No, it's going to be bigger than that. It's going to be a 10-10 Edwin. This game was wrapped up on turn 2. This game is actually over on turn 2 because of that Innervate pull. I mean, also an 8-8 Edwin is good, but at least Frozen would have had time to ramp into Aya. Wow. This is not good. Innervate, Coin, Deckhand. Backstab patches after it attacks. I mean, it's going to be a 12-12 Edwin. There's nothing Frozen can do here. There's not a single thing, unless he run Naturalize. Oh my gosh. 10 to face, Dagger. I mean, this is just, it's going to be too much damage. Frozen is dead in 2 turns. And if he doesn't, he needs to draw a taunt. He needs a Jade Behemoth. So what he's going to have to do now is go like Jade Blossom, Mark of the Lotus, and then go face. Oh, he goes with the Violet Teacher mark because he knows he's going to be able to play Aya next turn anyway. He's going to try to outrush Tom. That's not going to work. Tom's just going to push face here. Oh, yeah. Dagger face, pushing lethal next turn. Frozen sitting pretty at 6, 9. I swipe does clear up the Van Cleef, but I mean, the damage done. Frozen's at 7 life. I mean, the only play is to go swipe Edwin, trade, keep teacher alive, wild growth. That's actually a small comeback. All right, there's now a window of opportunity here. All right, Frozen actually has a board to combat now. This corridor creeper is gonna be, oh shit, that's just Leroy. Wow, never mind. I didn't even register Leroy. Oh my god. Wow. I cannot believe Tom brought it back 2-2 like that. I mean, that was just stupid. Frozen. Can't even believe that game just occurred. Trying not to be tilted. Wow. Both players playing extremely fast. You can see Frozen. Like, at this point in time, you're up 2 games. You need to win 1 match with Jade Druid. And the way to do that is when you know your opponent's down 0-2, you know they're going to be upset, right? So you have to play to that core, which means what your opponent is going to do is your opponent's going to play faster because they're upset, which means you need to play as slow as possible. You basically need to rope every turn. And your opponent's going to hate that, and it's going to make them more upset, which means they're most likely going to play even worse. So in this situation, Frozen, even at a 2-0 lead, needed to play even more mind games, in my opinion, is that just because a player is super good at this game, they're still human, which means they feel emotion. And if they're down 2, they feel bad. If you're roping them every turn, they're going to feel even worse, which means even a slight misplay can give you an advantage. So both players in that situation were playing extremely fast. I mean, the fact that I'm saying it's fast tells you something, because I am an extremely fast player. I play my cards almost instantaneously when the turn starts. If I'm playing like this, slow that shit down. I'm gonna mentally exhaust my opponent to the point where they hate playing against me. Every time they play against Warshak, this motherfucker ropes me every turn. His plays are always, most of the time, really disruptive or annoying. He's already up 2. So, I mean, there are things that Frozen could have done in this particular series thus far that would have ensured a little bit better of a percentage. I would have liked to see a little bit more mind games from Frozen. Heading into game number 5. Each player 2-2. Frozen needs 1 win. Jade Druid versus Jade Druid. Both players mulligan their hand. Tom keeps UI in hand. Wow. Not something you see every day. Wow. Then Tom gets double ramp. Normally when you try to keep the ultimate infestation in your hand, you get punished. This game rewarded Tom. Frozen also chilling on a wild, or a Jade Blossom and a Nourish. So there we see the coin Jade Blossom. We'll probably even see the Innervate Nourish for mana into the Jade Behemoth, into the Branching Paths for draws. We see the 3/6 coming in for 4 mana for Tom. Nothing too crazy there. There's the Violet Teacher off the top. So he decided the Violet Teacher was better than the ramp here. I wouldn't have said, I don't think I would have I don't think I would have valued Violet Teacher over ramping for 3 into a Jade Behemoth. Because there's nothing you're going to do with Violet Teacher this early in the game, especially when your opponent has spreading play. But look how fast Frozen is playing. He's almost instantaneously playing his cards. I mean, this turn he took a little bit longer, but that Violet Teacher turn was very quick. So right now he's thinking, does he Branching Paths or does he Nourish? Honestly, well, he's actually thinking about, I think you ramp with Nourish. I mean, in this particular matchup, it's whoever hits 10 mana first and gets bigger Jades. That's what it comes down to. If you hit 10 mana, you can UI first, which means you put a lot of pressure down. So we see the ramp with there. We see the hero power into the trade into the 3/6. Definitely what I would have liked to see from Frozen there. Perfect. Tom picks up a Wrath. Well, we see just a Fandral Wrath here, clearing that up, allowing him to trade his 1/1 into the Violet Teacher, taking off all pressure on Frozen's side of the board. Now Frozen has to deal with a Fandral and a 3/5. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Malfurion Spoder here from Frozen. I would not be surprised if we see a Malfurion into Spoders. I'm more in favor of always keeping UI definitely facing in the mirror. I'd have to agree with you crazies, but normally on ladder, you do have no idea that your opponent is Jade or not. So in tournaments, I suppose keeping UI in the opening hand is okay. But on ladder, it's never okay because your opponent could just be a Jade Druid or an aggro Druid, and then you just get absolutely destroyed. So in tournaments, your playstyle is obviously a little bit different. Agreed. So here we go, Branching Paths into the draw, picks up a Jade Idol, not the worst card in the world, gets the Wild Growth for more cycle, into Jasper, into the Jade Idol with Fandral out. He also already has, again, the UI that he's held in his hand the entire time. So, Tom's looking pretty good right now. This is this is exactly where Tom wants to be. Jade Idol's already in deck, UI in hand, Fandral on board, UI into Arcane Tyrant. Frozen doesn't even really have a board besides a Spoder. Branching Paths is going to bring it back a little bit, but what Frozen needs to do is draw into a UI. That's what Frozen needs. So he's using Branching Paths to draw. He's getting Jades, which are good. Those will make up for not having UI for the time being, but UI does need to get picked up in at least the next 2 turns from Frozen, because after these behemoths get played, Frozen's going to need something here. Violet Teacher Tech is for the more aggressive base decks. There's nothing more than aggro Paladin and aggro Druid hate than going against a lot of 2/2s and 1/1s. So the Violet Teacher Tech is good, especially with Branching Paths and Mark of the Lotus in the deck. It's just not that great against the mirror match because of cards like Spreading Plague. So there's the UI coming down. The Tyrant hits. If he draws another Tyrant, that's even more tempo for Tom. No other Tyrant hit, but you also see the Ultimate Infestation find its way into Tom's hand, along with the Nourish, Jade Behemoth, and Jade Idol. Frozen finally being able to kill off that Fandral, innervating off the Jasper to go ahead and kill the 5/5 Ghoul. Probably going to trade in his 2/2 to protect his Jade Behemoth. So this board looks pretty nice from Frozen, but unfortunately it's going to get kind of wrecked by Spreading Plague. Oh, he decides not to Spreading Plague. He's just going with the ramp. I like this play a lot better. Playing more Jades quicker than your opponent that's how you ensure victory the fastest. Spreading Plague there was by far not the most optimal play. That was my first intention. But playing 3 Jades definitely looked a lot better there. He's going with the draw, picks up Aya. Aya's a huge card to pull here because it's going to stabilize the board. I mean, look at how fast these players are playing. The trades are almost instantaneous. The cards are being played immediately. There's no time being wasted in this game. And this is the final round for $250,000. I mean, look at this. Trades already happening. Look how fast these players are playing. UI is going to hit the 4/4. Again, Tom's going to be able to draw a huge amount of cards. Arcane Tyrant gets played so he doesn't overdraw. This board state is almost impossible for Frozen to deal with, and if Frozen decides he wants to Spreading Plague, which is that's what he just top decked. I mean, Tom is just gonna play more Jades, which means oh man, Frozen with no UI. So this is what happens. Tom played 2 UIs, Frozen played none. I mean, that's just ouchie boo-boos, man. Ooh, Branching Path top deck, which means he can buff his minions to get through these Scarabs very, very easily. Or you could just swipe, and then you can trade his 4/1s. Either way, I'm pretty sure he Jade Behemoths here. He might even Jade Idol and Jade Behemoth to get the extra Jade out. Or we'll see a swipe. All right, so we see the swipe face, the easy trades into the 1/4s. Gonna clear up the board, summon a Jade. Yeah, Frozen not getting that UI is huge. There's another Spreading Plague, but all this is doing is denying the inevitable. All Tom is going to do is just play another Jade Idol. Yeah, we've seen this all before. This is exactly what happened when a Frozen played, I believe, Stanadachi. Instead of Stanadachi not getting it now, it's Frozen not getting it. Yeah, after that 2-1 lead, it looks like Frozen really just took his foot off the gas. You know what I'm saying? Like that Violet Teacher on turn 5 instead of Nourish, like why? And then, you know, not keeping UI against Jade Druid. Again, one of those cards you kind of have to have. And then all we see here is Tom just, you know, filling up the board. You can see it on Frozen's face. He knows this game is all but wrapped up. And he lost a 2-0 lead against Tom in the World Championship. There's the UI coming to hand, exactly what Frozen wanted to see, but unfortunately, it's a little too late. Because no matter really what Frozen draws, his Jades are just not there yet. So Tom has quite a few options here. I don't think Spreading Plague is one of them. He could go ahead and swipe up the board. He could Branching Paths for attack. He's probably calculating how much damage giving Branching Paths to his minion is. So if he gives +1 to everything twice, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be able to get to lethal that much faster. He finds the last Jade out. I believe that's... Oh, he actually has more? Okay. For some reason, I thought that was his last one. Obviously, if it's not, he's going to go give attack, and that's just game. Wow. I am sure Tom is ecstatic right now. Frozen has to be disappointed. There's the handshake. There's the hugs. Tom stands there, $250,000 richer. Everybody's going to come out, shakes Tom's hand, give him nice little hugs. All the players come out that were in the tournament, giving Tom the handshakes and love. Job well done, well deserved. I mean, this is no easy feat, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to go through rounds of hours and hours and hours of playing some of the best players in Hearthstone. You know, you make up even the slightest misplay, you're going to get punished. Mental fatigue is definitely a real factor. Good plays by Tom. Good plays. Whew. At the end of the day, though, Frozen still walked away with $150,000. I would have to say that's a good weekend at Hearthstone. You know what I'm saying? He walked away with 150 G's. Not 250 G's, though. Not the world champion, but runner-up. You know, Frozen still got a sizable reward and the recognition of being able to make it to the grand finals of the largest, most prestigious Hearthstone event that you could possibly make it to. Congratulations to all players who were in the tournament in the first place, because even being in the tournament is a prize of its own. With a world championship is no easy feat to even arrive there. So, you know, good job to all players involved, all of the highest caliber. And it was fun casting this.